In today's episode, another mailbox story. Travel 2,000 kilometers to change a light bulb? Okay. You want me to follow the wrong instructions for doing my job? Okay. Let's see how this ends. So let's get started. Another mailbox story. I posted this as a reply to someone else's mailbox story. I was informed that it should be its own post, so here it is, edited slightly for clarity. This didn't start out as a quest for vengeance. We just wanted mail delivery to our house. Vengeance came as a byproduct, but it was truly delightful nonetheless. So, mailbox story time. This happened back in 1982, for the record. My folks moved to a very rural area on a gravel road. No one had previously lived here, so it was a battle just getting mail delivery in the first place. My folks went several rounds with the local postmaster. He was somewhat enamored with his own power and very much a rules to the letter kind of guy. Every I must be dotted, every T crossed, and if there's so much as a semicolon out of place you'll have to start all over again. He seemed to have made it his personal mission to make getting mail delivery to a new address as difficult as humanly possible. Ultimately, my folks managed to fill out the paperwork to his satisfaction, and he begrudgingly allowed us to put up a box and receive mail delivery at our new home. Dad was extremely careful in the placement of our box and making absolutely certain his was the exact height, precise placement from the road, etc., to avoid annoying our local postmaster any more than we already had. There are, or at least were, very specific rules about rural mailboxes. Dad followed every single one. That first mailbox was perfect. The man who drove the road grader was as annoyed as the local postmaster, as he now had a new driveway to accommodate. We suspect that's why he had it out for our mailbox. After the road grader had demolished 3 of our mailboxes, Dad got pissed. Previously, he'd used the most basic design, just a post in the ground with a box on top. Now, he was motivated. Dad got a hold of a 9-foot-long section of metal pipe. It's 4 inches in diameter, outer measurement, and has 3/4 inch thick walls. I have no idea what this was originally intended for. But I know how Dad used it. He dug a hole 5.5 feet deep. He welded an upside-down tripod shape, think open umbrella, to the bottom of the pole and dropped it into the 6-foot-wide hole. Each welded-on leg was about 3 feet of some kind of rebar, and there were 5 such spokes. He then dropped some huge rocks on top of the tripod shape to hold it in place. The empty spaces around the huge rocks were filled in with gravel, and he dumped sand to fill in the air gaps. Then he filled the rest of the hold in with dirt and mounted the mailbox on top of the post. 3 days after Dad installed the new mailbox, we heard the road grader coming down the road. Our house is a 1/4 mile from the road, but we heard the loud clang from inside. We also heard the cursing and swearing from inside. No one went down to look until they heard the road grader drive away. When they did, the box itself was slightly dented on one side, but it was still firmly upright and functional. 3 weeks later, we received a bill from the township for a bent grader blade. It was accompanied by a letter informing us that we had caused damage to city property because our mailbox was installed incorrectly. It would need to be moved, and we were liable for a bill of a couple $1,000s worth of repairs. Here's where it becomes ProRevenge instead of petty. Recall the fact that the local postmaster was annoyed with us over our battle to get mail delivery? Mom had made a point of each time we reinstalled the mailbox, taking photographs down to the post office, and having the local postmaster sign off approval of the height, placement, etc. She'd done the same with Dad's superpost, and had documented, signed approval of the box dated the day before the road grader had bent his blade trying to demolish the box. She submitted copies of the invoice for the grader blade, and the letter stating that the damage was our fault because our mailbox was incorrectly placed, to the post office. She also submitted copies of the official post office approval of the box to the township. The jerk of a postmaster was also quite prideful and became furious that his authority was being called into question by some podunk township. As far as he was concerned, the township wasn't questioning my parents, they were stating that his judgment was wrong. I don't know what went down between the postmaster and the township, but we received a second letter from the post office, reiterating their approval of our mailbox. We also got a formal apology from the township and noticed that the road grader's contract had been terminated because he'd lied about damage to city property. It was worded with a tone that said, "Please don't sue us, because a contracted employee damaged your property." For the record, that post Dad installed nearly 40 years ago is still standing. We've replaced the box on top many times. That post, however, has now wrecked 2 cars and a truck in addition to that long ago road grader. Travel 2,000 kilometers to change a light bulb? Okay. A few years ago, I was in a boardroom of a earth-moving company talking to the CEO about how we, my company, could assist with their maintenance cost. Before the meeting, I got all my facts from our guys on the ground. CEO, you are costing us too much to maintain our equipments. Me, you are in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of a desert. Travel costs are significant, but we can manage if we plan repairs and maintenance to minimize the travel cost. CEO, well, how about that $10,000 bill to change a broken light last month? Why would you guys charge us and not plan it when the machines is back in range? I knew this one was coming. So I repeat what my guys told me. See, the owner has decided to put his son through the works to take charge of the company. The CEO decided to send Junior to the middle of nowhere to keep him at bay. Junior decided to use his leverage and ordered a minor repair, which was not critical, be carried out. However, the machine was 2,000 kilometers out. So it was a 2-day trip to change a light. My guys asked to confirm whether that was real. If the company wanted to send them to do such a small task, and were told in no such words that they're the client and can do as they want. A purchase order was provided and the rest was history. I think Junior wanted to give the CEO a taste of how things would be. My guys maliciously complied. I mean, they would be paid overtime, and because it's in the desert. 2 guys have to go. Sat NAV, etc. The works. Back to the story. Me, we did request confirmation and were told you're the client and provided us with a PA to proceed. So we did. CEO, you shouldn't have proceeded. This is ridiculous. Me, your company provided a valid request and refused to listen when told it would prohibitive. We did warn you about the cost, but the decision is ultimately yours. We can't control your staff. CEO, who did authorize this work? Me, I can send you a copy of the PO. You could see the veins on his head throbbing. Anyway, I heard Junior was moved back to head office shortly after. You want me to follow the wrong instructions for doing my job? Okay. Let's see how this ends. This is about 20 years ago. I joined a project and developed the job role. I created the processes, and even built some software tools. Then for about 18 months I worked on the project in that role. The company decided to send in a load of process engineers to document everything, so that they have very clear how-tos. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, then the company can easily recover. Very sensible move. For a week or so I was shadowed by a process engineer as he documented everything I did, and it included interviews and reviews. All standard stuff. I expected to have something to review and approve, and nothing came. Some time later, I was given a role review with an interview at the end. It did not go well. Basically, I was told that I was failing to do my job properly and put under RA, remedial action. The problem was that I was not following the PI, process instruction, on how to do my job. I read the PI and it completely failed to capture how I did the job. This was the first time that I had seen it. It had been approved, authorized and issued without me seeing it. So, in order to get out of the remedial action, I followed it to the letter. By the end of the month things had got serious. My downstream customers were either getting the wrong data, incomplete data, or no data. Their dependencies were incomplete, and so their downstream were having problems. The whole data flow was wrong or stopped. I was called in for a chat by one of the directors where I pointed out that I followed the PI to the letter as I was told because of the RA. The PI was wrong, but I was not on the approval loop. RAs are serious because if you fail, then it is disciplinary action time, or even a sacking. He hit the roof, the shit hit the fan, and an investigation was started. It seems that the process team were fed up with people rejecting the PIs for their own jobs as being wrong, so they just cut them out of the approval loop. This allowed the process engineering lead to hit all his targets and get his performance bonus. The result was that my RA order was removed from my HR file. I reviewed and fixed the PI for my job. The process engineering lead was disciplined and put on his own RA. He left shortly after. Rumor has it that he had to repay the performance bonus as well. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.